Letícia, with a restless heart and dreams bigger than the countryside sky, knew she had to leave her quiet little life behind. It was early when she placed her single suitcase on the bus heading to the city, but deep down, she carried more than clothes. She carried courage and a burning desire to find her big opportunity. Of course, there was fear. Who hasn't felt it? But Letícia knew that nothing ventured, nothing gained. Can life turn upside down in an instant? That's exactly what happened to Juarez, a reclusive millionaire, when he crossed paths with Letícia, a young gardener who had transformed his garden and his life. But it wasn't just Leticia's impeccable work that stunned him. It was the necklace she wore, a small detail but impossible to ignore. And what came next? Well, not even Juarez was ready for what he was about to discover. For Letícia, it was just another workday. But for Juarez, that moment felt like a reunion with a past he believed was lost forever. The necklace, identical to the one his late girlfriend Vera used to wear, stirred up memories, doubts, and above all, a mystery that would soon unravel. How had that object ended up in Leticia's hands? And why did the connection between them feel so strong, so inexplicable? If you've ever felt that life has a peculiar way of connecting even the most unlikely dots, this story will resonate with you. Get ready for a journey filled with secrets, revelations, and proof that sometimes the truth is hidden in the most unexpected details. Letícia, with a restless heart and dreams bigger than the countryside sky, knew she had to leave her quiet little life behind. It was early when she placed her single suitcase on the bus heading to the city, but deep down, she carried more than clothes. She carried courage and a burning desire to find her big opportunity. Of course, there was fear. Who hasn't felt it? But Letícia knew that nothing ventured, nothing gained. The city felt like an untamed giant, filled with hurried people and flashing lights. Letícia was a bit lost in the first few days, stumbling through the streets and wondering how those people managed to live amidst such chaos. Still, the thought of giving up never crossed her mind. She kept repeating to herself, what does a millionaire do? He sees challenges as opportunities. And so, Letícia pressed on. When her money started to run out, Letícia knew she had to act fast. Her passion for plants, something she'd learned from her grandmother, seemed like the only practical skill she had. That's when an idea struck her. Why not offer her services as a gardener? Though it seemed simple, she saw it as a way to prove that dedication could transform even the smallest jobs into something extraordinary. Letícia began with small jobs in modest homes, earning a little here and there, but always maintaining her high standards. It was as if every trimmed leaf was an investment, like those millionaires who value every penny. Little by little, she earned the trust of clients who couldn't help but admire her commitment. From a simple gardener, she was becoming a local reference. The journey so far hadn't come without losses. There were days when Letícia missed home, the simple countryside meals, and her conversations with her grandmother. But as she looked at the small garden she transformed, Letícia felt that every sacrifice was worth it. After all, success isn't built without a bit of pain. To her, each well-tended plant was a reminder her life was growing. While walking through the neighborhood, Letícia saw something unexpected, a flyer on a pole. Seeking landscaper for luxury estate. Her heart raced. Could this be her chance to show what she was capable of? Maybe even meet a millionaire willing to open doors for her? Without a second thought, she jotted down the number and prepared to take the next step. Letícia didn't know what she would find at the estate, but she was sure of one thing: her dedication was about to be put to the test. The future seemed uncertain, but she felt that each challenge was like a seed. And those who plant, reap, provided they have patience, confidence, and faith. Arriving at the gated community felt like stepping into another world. Tall gates, luxury cars, and sophisticated people everywhere. Letícia felt that familiar knot in her stomach, the kind you get when you're about to face something big. The garden, however, told a different story. It was neglected, full of dry leaves and withered plants. To Letícia, it wasn't just a space to be tended, it was a golden opportunity to showcase her skills. With unyielding determination, Letícia rolled up her sleeves and got to work. She didn't just trim and water, she studied. She figured out which plants suited the climate best, which flowers complemented the estate's aesthetics. Every decision was as deliberate as piecing together a millionaire's puzzle, where every part had to fit perfectly. It was pure and simple dedication. Residents of the community began noticing the transformation. What had once been a lifeless area was now bursting with color and design, captivating even the most skeptical observers. Asterisk, how did she manage to transform this so quickly? Asterisk was the question everyone kept asking. Letícia smiled humbly in response, but she knew the secret lay in her attention to detail. It's just like life. If you take care of the little things, the big things naturally fall into place. One day, an elderly resident, Donna Marina, came over to assess her work. Asterisk, you've brought life to this place, my dear. It's like I've been given a new home. Asterisk, those words deeply moved Letícia. She realized her work wasn't just about gardens, it was about planting happiness. Sometimes, a simple act, like creating a beautiful space, could profoundly impact someone's life. But, as in every journey, challenges arose. Some residents complained that the money spent on the garden improvements was unnecessary. Letícia, maintaining her calm demeanor, used practical examples to convince them. She explained how a well-kept garden could increase the property's value, much like a well-made investment yielding unexpected returns. Her straightforward and pragmatic approach won over even the staunchest skeptics. Gradually, Letícia began gaining recognition. One of the residents, a small business owner, asked if she'd be interested in designing the garden at his office. "You have the Midas touch with plants," he said, laughing. Letícia accepted the challenge, but sensed that something even bigger was on the horizon. The gated community was just the start of her journey. Deep down, Letícia felt like she was planting something far greater than flowers. It was as if every tree, every shrub represented a piece of her own growth. And without her knowing it, her work was catching the attention of someone very special, someone who would change her life in ways she could never imagine. When Letícia received an invitation to work at a mansion, she didn't know what to expect. The place was imposing, surrounded by high walls and an air of mystery. The first thing that caught her attention was the garden state, vast but neglected, as if time had stood still there. Yet, Letícia felt something different. It wasn't just a garden, it seemed like a space brimming with untold stories. Juarez, the owner, was an enigmatic figure. Little was known about him other than that he had lived in seclusion since a great personal loss. He observed Letícia from a distance as she began her work. For her, with her usual dedication, this garden was more than just a project, it was a chance to bring life to a place where everything seemed to have gone dormant. On her first day, Letícia devoted herself to cleaning and organizing the space. Every corner she touched seemed to regain its energy. This garden is like life, she thought. Asterisk, the more you care for it, the more it blooms. Asterisk, with confidence and determination, she started transforming that patch of earth. It wasn't just about plants, it was about creating a space where people could feel something new. The work was challenging, but Letícia had learned that great opportunities never come easily. She immersed herself in books on landscaping and spent nights meticulously planning every detail. To her, the garden was like a canvas, and each flower was a brushstroke. Her effort didn't go unnoticed. Even the mansion staff remarked, asterisk, we've never seen anyone work with so much love before. Asterisk. Juarez, however, remained reserved. He seemed to have a complicated relationship with the garden, as though each plant held a memory he wasn't ready to face. Letícia sensed this, but chose to carry on. Her intuition told her that this place needed life, even if its owner wasn't ready to accept it yet. One day, while clearing a hidden flower bed, Letícia discovered something that left her intrigued, a star-shaped necklace buried among the roots of a tree. It looked old, but was perfectly preserved, as if it had been protected for years. Letícia kept the necklace, unaware that it held deep meaning for Juarez, something she would come to learn in time. The garden was transforming, and along with it, something within the mansion seemed to be changing as well. Letícia felt there was much more to this house than met the eye. She was just beginning to realize that sometimes what you plant in the soil also grows in the hearts of those around you. It was on a late afternoon when Juarez finally mustered the courage to ask about the necklace Letícia wore. Asterisk, that necklace, where did it come from? Asterisk, his voice carried a mix of astonishment and suppressed emotion. Letícia, unaware of the weight behind the question, explained that it had been a gift from her grandmother, something she always wore as a talisman. Juarez fell silent, struggling to reconcile what seemed impossible. That necklace was identical to the one he had given Vera years ago as a symbol of their love. Juarez remembered it vividly, a star with delicate details, chosen because Vera had once told him he was her north, her guiding light. He had never imagined he'd see that object again, let alone around the neck of a young woman who had transformed not only his garden but, in some ways, his life. Intrigued, Juarez decided to dig deeper. He discreetly asked an old friend, someone who knew his history with Vera, to visit the mansion. When the friend saw Letícia and the necklace, he was visibly unsettled. "It's impossible to ignore the resemblance," he murmured, as Juarez tried to mask his unease. It was as though every answer only raised more questions. Letícia began to notice something unusual in the way Juarez looked at her, but she couldn't understand why. During one conversation, he mentioned Vera and the significance of the necklace. Asterisk, Vera had a necklace just like yours. It was identical. As if, asterisk, he trailed off, unable to finish the thought. Letícia was curious but dismissed it as mere coincidence. After all, how could she possibly be connected to someone she had never known? One night, while organizing her few belongings, Letícia decided to take a closer look at the necklace. On the back, she noticed an almost faded inscription she had never seen before, asterisk, forever, J and V. Asterisk, her heart raced. Who were J and V? Determined to find out, Letícia called her grandmother the next day. But her grandmother's answers were evasive, filled with pauses and looks that seemed to conceal more than they revealed. Juarez, on the other hand, became increasingly convinced that Letícia and Vera might be connected in an unimaginable way. Could this young woman be a part of Vera's life he had never known? Every moment spent with Letícia seemed to unearth buried memories, but also ignited a glimmer of hope he hadn't felt in years. The mystery of the necklace was now more than a curiosity. It was a bridge between the past and the present, something both Letícia and Juarez needed to understand. Juarez felt he was on the brink of a revelation that could change everything, but he also knew that the hardest truths often take time to uncover. And Letícia, unknowingly, was about to discover that her life was deeply rooted in that mansion in ways she could never have imagined. The pieces began to fall into place in an unsettling way when Letícia confronted her grandmother about the necklace. Asterisk, why didn't you ever tell me about this? Asterisk, she asked, her eyes filled with curiosity and a hint of frustration. Her grandmother sighed deeply, as if carrying the weight of a long-held secret. Asterisk, because I wanted to protect you. But I suppose it's time for you to know the truth, asterisk, she replied hesitantly. At the mansion, Juarez was also seeking answers. He rummaged through old documents and found a letter Vera had written shortly before her death. In it, she mentioned a difficult decision she had made to protect asterisk, a part of us. Asterisk, Juarez froze as the implication hit him. Vera had hidden a pregnancy. Could Letícia be his daughter? When Letícia returned to the mansion, the tension was palpable. Juarez, holding the letter, called her in for a conversation. He didn't know how to express what he was feeling, but couldn't ignore the truth that seemed to shout at him. Letícia sat silently as he recounted the story of Vera, the necklace, and what he had discovered. Finally, she showed him the inscription on the necklace. Asterisk, does this mean anything to you? Asterisk, she asked. Juarez responded with a deep, emotional sigh. The confirmation landed like a blow for both of them. Leticia's grandmother finally revealed the truth she had kept hidden for so long. After Vera's death, she decided to raise Letícia away from Juarez, believing it was the best decision for everyone. The necklace was the only link she allowed Letícia to keep to her true origins. For Letícia, it felt as if the ground had disappeared beneath her feet. Asterisk, so, you're my father? Asterisk, she asked, incredulously. Juarez, for his part, was torn between the joy of discovering a daughter he never knew existed and the sorrow of all the lost years. He tried to explain his pain, his loneliness, but Letícia needed time to process everything. How could she come to terms with the fact that the man who had hired her was, in reality, part of her own story? It was a connection she had never imagined, yet it made everything begin to make sense. Despite the shock, Letícia felt something within her start to shift. There was anger, yes, but also a deep curiosity about the man who now revealed himself as her father. Juarez, in turn, was determined to make amends for the mistakes of the past, beginning with the present. He offered something he never thought he could give again, his heart, this time as a father. Now, they both faced a new opportunity, a chance to rebuild what had been lost. The path wouldn't be easy, but the deepest truths rarely are. Letícia knew that, just like in the garden, what is planted with dedication will bloom over time. And Juarez realized he had finally found something that could transform his life forever. The beginning of this new relationship between Juarez and Letícia was delicate, like a garden that had just been replanted. Both carried burdens. Juarez bore the weight of lost years, and Letícia felt that her life had been built on secrets. But there was something greater than their sorrows, the desire to rebuild together what remained. Just as flowers bloom anew after pruning, father and daughter decided to give the future a chance. Juarez began to open up his life to Letícia. He shared stories about Vera, his dreams, his happy memories. For Letícia, it was like getting to know a mother she never had the opportunity to love. Gradually, she began to see more in Juarez than the reclusive man who had hired her. She saw a father willing to fight for the second chance life had offered them. It was a rare opportunity, and both of them knew it. The mansion's garden became their meeting place. Together, they planted flowers and trees that symbolized their new hopes. "This one is for new beginnings," Letícia would say as she planted an ipe sapling. "And this one, for the memories we want to keep," Juarez added while tending to a small rose bush. The manual labor was not just symbolic, it was a daily reminder that the best things in life require dedication and patience. But the transformation didn't stop at the garden. Juarez decided to use his experience as a businessman to help Letícia realize a dream, opening her own landscaping company. He believed she had a rare talent and wanted to see his daughter thrive. "The world needs to see what you're capable of," he would say. And for the first time, Letícia felt she had the support of someone who truly believed in her. Letícia, in turn, taught Juarez to find beauty in simple things. She encouraged him to interact more with the townspeople and even to make friends. It was a slow but transformative process. Juarez began to rediscover the joy he had lost and realized that life still had much to offer, even after so much suffering. The pain of the past didn't disappear, but it became lighter when shared. The star-shaped necklace emerged as a symbol of this new phase. Juarez asked Letícia to keep it, saying, "It began with Vera, but now it represents both of us." For Letícia, the necklace ceased to be just an accessory and became a reminder that she possessed something greater, a story filled with losses, yes, but also with reunions and overcoming adversity. Together, Juarez and Letícia began to build a different kind of family dynamic. It wasn't perfect, but it was genuine. And as the days passed, they discovered that love can grow in unexpected ways. Deep down, both knew that, just like in the garden, what matters isn't the speed of growth, but the strength of the roots that support everything. And now, can you imagine what might be hidden in the details of your own story? Just as Juarez and Letícia discovered that losses and opportunities are more connected than they seem, perhaps it's time for you to reevaluate what's around you. What are the necklaces in your life, those subtle threads that might lead to an unexpected transformation? Remember, great changes begin with small steps. Maybe it's time to invest in what you love, like Letícia did when she transformed gardens. Or perhaps it's time to look at your past with fresh eyes, like Juarez. What seed will you plant next to change your story? Don't let life pass you by without taking action. Make a difference today, even if it's with a simple gesture. And while you're at it, subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. Here, you'll keep discovering stories that not only inspire, but also teach you how to change the course of your life. Are you ready for the next chapter?